wild week inside the Big Brother house. Another girl and another Bomb Squad member has been evicted. Hello everyone, this is the B2M2 podcast. I'm Michael Hoad, joined by my co-host Mitchell Machtinger, as always. How are you liking the unanimous eviction of your girl Amber?
First off, Nicole's my girl. I just want to clear that up. So Nicole, if you're listening, I'm available. I don't care that Amber got evicted as much as it was a unanimous vote. These unanimous votes are getting pretty boring. I calculated it. It might be one or two numbers off, but the votes this season have been 53-2 in terms of eviction votes. So I would have liked for Amber to stay over Jocasta because I feel like she would have gone after the other side of the house and make the season more entertaining.
Okay, so let's pick it up with our two H's OH. It's Frankie and Zach. So everyone's pretty cool with Frankie having won, especially because of his grandfather. As we know, Derek threw the challenge to him. But everyone's really nervous about Zach being in power because, as Nicole says, she thinks he's a loose cannon and he just can't really be trusted. No one knows what he's going to do. So Zach immediately says that he's targeting Amber because Christine and Amber had the conversation about forming the Girls Alliance, and Christine ratted Amber out to her alliance. So Christine is now serving as the mole for the detonators, which is, I don't know, good thing for the alliance for sure.
It's good for the alliance, but for Christine, I feel like she needs Amber. I feel like she could have used Amber later in the game to go at, because the three, in the end, it's obviously four guys against one girl. I can't see any of them taking Christine over one of the other guys, save for Zach maybe. So I think Christine ratting out Amber hurt her long-term game because I think they could have worked together later.
Do you think Christine's true allegiance is to the detonators or to Nicole and Hayden?
I think she's using the detonators now, but I think her true allegiance is with Nicole and Hayden.
I think so too.
But depends how far along later, because Nicole and Hayden, I feel, will take each other.
True.
They'll use, obviously, the showman, so, and Christine doesn't fit in there. And then she doesn't really fit in with the detonators either. So she's in a good spot in terms of getting somewhere, but getting to the end will be tough for her.
She'll have to bring out her inner player for sure. So Zach says that he wants to be the guy that gets all the blood on his hands. He's fine with being the one who puts up Amber. He thinks it's good for his game. I guess he's trying to act like the guy who everyone's going to hate. So, well, that sort of goes completely against what he said before going in the house. He said he's going to make everyone like him.
Yeah, so he's clearly he loves being on the show. He loves the camera. He loves the attention.
Absolutely. So Zach tells Beast Mode Cowboy Caleb that he knows that Amber is going to come after him being Zach, next week. So Caleb goes down and talks to Amber because Caleb thinks Amber's head is getting too big and she's forgetting what got her to where she is right now. So Caleb ends up telling her absolutely everything. He rats out Christine for being the mole. And then Amber threatens that if Zach does end up putting her up, that she's going to expose the whole alliance. Big time drama.
See, everyone's so worried about this whole alliance being exposed, but didn't Devin pretty much tell everybody in the house about the bomb squad? That's what I've been so clueless about, is that apparently no one knows about the bomb squad, but I'm pretty sure Devin told the entire house about it.
He did, and like Brittany knew about it, and she's gone. Like it's not really a secret. And Amber doesn't even know about the detonators, so you're right. I don't really know what she's going to expose, as she says. So Zach wants to put up Christine, one of his fellow detonators, with Amber and have Christine throw it. And Christine is not down whatsoever because obviously if Amber wins the veto, Christine would end up staying on the block. I mean, I guess they could have just ended up backdooring Victoria and Christine would still be safe, but still not a risk that anyone would want to take.
Yeah, there's no reason for Zach to go after Christine, especially when she's in his alliance. Yeah. And then, I mean, I guess asking her to go up somehow is better than just putting her up, but it didn't make sense on many parts.
And his alliance is not cool with it either. Like, they're all saying Like, you just created this alliance, and you're wanting to put someone up from it. So Zach's all over the place, but I love it. Caleb, this is actually really funny. So Caleb and Amber get to talking, and Amber says that if Caleb eats a pickle, which Caleb can't stand, that Amber would go on a date with him. So she doesn't think that Caleb's actually going to do it, and then later on in the week he does.
I love the dedication on Caleb's part. Like, that's a big deal. Like, if someone told me, like, oh, eat a banana to, like, do something, like, I don't eat bananas, so that'd be like a big deal. But so I like that part for Caleb. But the whole thing was, and then they went on the date, and the whole thing was just really awkward. Just like this whole, I guess, chase of Amber has been. So I'm happy, I guess, Amber went home for that sense, because the angle was getting played out really hard. It was getting boring to watch the same thing every week.
I'm interested to see how Caleb starts playing now that she's gone.
Well, he still thinks he's with the bomb squad. But he also said that if Amber went home, I mean, this was before he found out that Amber was okay to put him up. But he also said that, if Amber goes home, I'm just going to play my own game.
Yeah, it was sort of reminiscent of what Devin did. Like, he's done with everyone. He's playing for himself. So the actual date, Caleb goes and, like, puts massive effort into setting up the backyard to be romantic. And he says he doesn't want it to just be a hammock date, because that's always what they do on Big Brother. But as you said, it's just really awkward. And at one point, Amber actually looks over at Cody, which I think was just editing. I don't think they would have been chilling in the backyard, especially his alliance, knowing that Caleb was back there. But Amber makes it clear that it's her first and last date with Caleb. So since Cody, Frankie, and the rest of the detonators are not down with Christine going up, Cody and Frankie suggest to Zach that he put up Nicole. And Zach doesn't really want to do that. So he calls her up to the HOH room. And then Zach just starts, like, drilling Nicole about her relationship with Christine. And Nicole's just saying, we're friends. Like, I like her a lot. We're friends like you and Cody are friends. And then Zach slips that he and Cody are more than friends and, like, suggests that they're in an alliance. So he sort of blows it on that one. Further on, Cody and Derek make a final two alliance. And I loved this because those are my top two picks from the draft. So I'm hoping they stay together and go far.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have, I guess, a sub-alliance within a bigger alliance. There's already Frank and Zach, even though that doesn't seem as tight as it once was. So Cody and Derek doing their own thing within the five makes sense.
So they start discussing their name, and they come up with the Hitman. It's Derek who comes up with the name, and it seems like he definitely came up with the detonators and the Hitman. I don't remember about the bomb squad. It might have been Devin.
I feel like a lot of these guys go into the house with just like a list of names. They're like, which one should we use?
And their slogan is, "You just got whacked." So needless to say, I am absolutely loving the Hitman. Then we get the new Team America challenge. It's the one where they're trying to force an argument between two house guests at either the veto meeting or the nomination ceremony. Team America thinks it's going to be a tough challenge. I agree. I didn't think they were going to be able to pull it off. But they say that with Zach, anything is possible. They just think he'll blow up, which he does end up doing.
Yeah, again, Zach loves the attention, and he loves just being obnoxious about it. So with his ego, all that factored in, it was an easy choice to put the puzzle pieces together like that.
Frankie says he wants to nominate two weak people so that he can stay HOH, because he doesn't know what Zach would end up doing if Zach were to stay HOH. So Frankie ends up choosing first and puts up Jocasta and Victoria, no surprise. And then Zach puts up Christine and Nicole. And then after his decision, he says to Christine that she's just a massive floater. And then he calls Nicole a Fruit Loop dingus, which is pretty entertaining. But there's no confrontation there. They just keep to themselves. Nicole starts laughing and crying simultaneously. Oh, yeah, and this was one of the lines of the week for me. Victoria, after seeing that she's put up, says, How am I weak? I keep winning.
She won one. She's won one competition. I don't even know if she's won a.
So she won the Battle of the Block with Brittany in the first week, right?
Yeah.
And then she won the veto, but didn't really win. Like,
yeah, you kicked
she won by default, essentially.
Yeah, that's true. So, she didn't even really win it.
That was hilarious.
Caleb won that one. She just ended up with the veto.
The Battle of the Block is they have to make this tower out of like a wedding cake. It looks like they're like styrofoam platforms. And then run up the side of the cake and stand on it for 3 seconds.
It was good to see them in harnesses, though, because they didn't explain that part at first. And I was like, that's pretty high up, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of cushion on the bottom.
So Victoria and Jocasta are struggling because Victoria just is straight up not listening to what Jocasta has to say. Victoria's like assembling them out of order. Like, it's just a mess. Needless to say, their tower falls over. And then Nicole and Christine end up winning. So Zach is dethroned. Whew, that was close. Zach would have gone on a rampage, I think, this week. And then after the contest, Victoria blamed losing on Jocasta, which I did not understand.
Yeah, you could tell that she wasn't listening to Jocasta at all during the veto. The Battle of the Block. I mean, the competition itself, if you just took a second to think about it, was just a big puzzle in the end. You just got to stack largest on the bottom, smallest on top, and climb up. So...
And they did not do that, thanks to Victoria. Up in the HOH room, Zach, and I don't know if he's joking, but I have a feeling he was actually serious, that he wants to start this new alliance with him, Cody, Frankie, and randomly Hayden. The Bros Alliance or something is what it was called. I don't know. Do you think he was joking about that? Because it didn't get received well at all.
I feel like he was joking, but like if it ended up being serious, it was like whatever. I mean, Hayden was like, wasn't he part of the bomb squad in the end somehow?
Oh yeah, Hayden got randomly brought into the bomb squad.
Yeah, see with Hayden, I was like, I know all these guys like they talk and stuff, but he's obviously good with the guys. Otherwise, he'd be up on the block because him and Donnie are pretty much the only guys not in that alliance.
Yeah, and Hayden's like he's shown that he's like a physical competitor, so if he wasn't tight with them, you're right, I think they'd be targeting him. Then Zach goes down and he knows that Nicole is down in the living room and that she's a have-not. So Zach says he's going to go down and take his Starburst and beef jerky and like eat it in front of Nicole and offer it to her, knowing full well that she can't eat it. So Zach's just being a dick, but it's Zach being Zach. Good old Zach attack. Afterwards, so Zach is no longer HOH, but him and Frankie still are sleeping in the HOH room. They're sharing the nest bed.
Yeah, even with Cody last week, when Cody was HOH, Zach still slept in the bed, in the HOH bed. It was funny.
So they're getting really close in there, and Zach says, "Too bad I'm not gay," because he thinks that if he were gay, Frankie would be his man. And then in the diary room, Frankie confesses that he thinks Zach actually might be gay. So, potential showmance.
That'd be probably a first on any Big Brother.
Change someone's sexual orientation. Team America challenge. Okay. Cody and Frankie later in the week start to turn on Zach because he's out of control. They start comparing him to Devin, and he's just power tripping and losing it. So Frankie says that if everyone in the house wants Zach to be gone, he might have to do it. Do you think that was an empty threat, or do you think there was actually something there for Frankie?
I mean, I'm sure they thought about it, but he's still a number on their side, and he'll always be a bigger target than they would if he's around. So it makes sense keeping him.
Shifting over to sort of the Hayden-Nicole angle of the show, there's a funny moment where Nicole, it's time for her to take off her Germitard, and she does a little strip tease in the backyard. I'm sure you were loving that. And Hayden's just saying that she's a terrible stripper, which is pretty funny. After that's done, Hayden goes over to Victoria because he knows that Victoria's on the outs with the house. So he thinks if he can bring her over, she'll be another vote for their side.
It's a smart move. I liked it. I mean, a vote is a vote in the end. It doesn't matter whose name is on it. So you may as well band all the outsiders together
Absolutely.
and keep them in your pocket.
Another weirdo for the Weirdos Alliance, maybe. So, but Nicole sees, because Hayden's going over and like whispering discreetly in her ear, and Nicole thinks that Victoria might have a thing for Hayden, and I thought she was getting a little jealous. What did you think?
Probably. I mean, Hayden wouldn't be dumb enough to do it right in front of Nicole like that. But sure, I mean, why not? I'm sure Victoria has nothing else to do in the house. So,
unfortunately, this is actually extremely coincidental and devastating news. Derek gets a letter in the diary room that his grandfather passed away. I couldn't believe that. I mean, what are the chances? That's just awful news. And I feel bad because if he had won HOH, do you think they would have like brought
switch pictures or something?
Yeah, like in the middle of the week they could have brought something in for him.
Maybe. I mean, that's an interesting question, but he'd have to be, because by that time there was only one HOH.
Yeah, it's true. He would have had to win battle.
Although I think, because I read online about it, and I think it may have happened before, like it didn't actually happen like for Thursday's episode. It happened like a lot earlier in the week. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they actually would have swapped pictures, but they obviously had to tell him if they told Frankie.
Yeah. Okay, so back to Amber and Caleb. Amber is just completely, this is where the week starts to go south for Amber even more. So Amber starts ignoring Caleb after their date, and Caleb has no idea why she's acting like this. He just still doesn't get it that she's not into him.
He's always like, oh, I'm done with her, like I don't care. And
Again,
then he keeps going on with it. And watching this over and over every week, it's exhausting and it got boring, and I wish they could have showed like anything else except for that.
There were a bunch of scenes where Amber would walk into the same room as Caleb, and Caleb would just like get up from where he was sitting and leave. Like it was just ridiculous. Yeah, I'm glad it's done. On to the veto. It's Donnie and Christine picked, and then Victoria pulls the house guest choice chip, which seems to be coming up a lot, and picks Hayden because Hayden said that if he won, he would pull her down. So Zach and Frankie are absolutely pumped about the selections because they think no matter what, someone's going to use the veto so they can backdoor Amber. So the actual veto challenge is you have to sit on this horse, rock it back and forth 60 times, and once you did that, it activated a 30-second timer. And you had 30 seconds to stack as many of these gold bars as you could, and then just repeat the cycle. If your counter got to 0 before you were back at the horse, you were eliminated, but you could decide to take slop for a week to get a second chance at the game.
That actually looked like a tough veto competition. I think the harder part was with the bricks.
Yeah.
It wasn't really clear how they stacked them, but it looked like, I'm surprised more people's like towers didn't fall over because it looked like a very precise puzzle in terms of like leaning all the bricks and stacking them.
So Jocasta ends up getting eliminated, and she was doing really well. But she just lost track. She didn't get back to her horse in time. And she takes the slop to get a second chance. And actually what ended up happening is Christine thinks that she wins, but then she goes to press her buzzer to lock it in, and there are bricks on the ground that she didn't see. And then Hayden comes up and ends up actually winning.
Yeah, well, Jocasta was obviously going to take the slop. I mean, she was on the block, and she was fighting obviously to get off it. So that was obvious. It's always interesting to see the other people, the house guests who get randomly chosen into the veto, how far, how badly they really want it. Like, would Hayden have taken slop, or would someone else, like not HOH, have taken slop just to win the veto?
Another question that arises with Jocasta on slop, is this counting as a have-not -1 for you?
I don't think so.
No,
I mean, she probably doesn't have to sleep in the have-not room, right?
It's not official. So Hayden is let in on the plan of using the veto and getting rid of Amber, and he is totally fine with that.
That was confusing. I mean, he says he wants to scare Amber by putting her on the block, but if you want to keep someone in the game, you don't put them on the block. You never put someone on the block who you don't want to go home.
Yeah, so Zach, again, is just trying to stir things up. He just causes more drama between Caleb and Amber, and that's when Caleb tells Frankie, okay, let's give her a scare. That'll make her realize who her true alliance is, and she'll come back to us. Donnie also loves the idea of backdooring Amber, and Team America discusses their challenge of, once again, they only have one more opportunity. They have to get someone to argue with someone else at the veto meeting. Again, they're banking on Zach. Hayden does end up pulling Victoria off the block. Frankie makes a little show of it and says, oh my gosh, I didn't think that was actually going to happen. No one believed it. He ends up putting Amber up on the block, and then Amber calls him out thinking that he had already planned it. And then after that, Zach does end up going off on Amber, telling her how Caleb has done all these things for her, gone on the block, covered her with blankets in the have-not room, and Amber just isn't reciprocating at all. Amber is too classy to retaliate at all. She doesn't say anything, so Team America fails. And then, pretty much immediately after that happens, we get the next challenge for America's team. And the two options are to vote against the majority of the House and publicly accuse two other people of doing it, or get two members of Team America to be head of household by either winning the contest or convincing other people to throw it. The one that ends up winning is the vote against the majority of the House, which I was actually kind of surprised by. What about you? I thought they would have voted for sure to have the two H's OH.
I mean, it's always maybe they're getting tired of unanimous evictions too, like I am. That's what I would have voted for. So it would have been interesting to see if that actually happened and they actually did vote against the House.
Yeah, they were too scared to sacrifice their long-term games by doing it, which I think is a good call, actually. I was pumped about it because it got me points, or took points away from you. So
also with the two Team America HOHs,
it would have
tough to do.
It would have to be Donnie and Derek because Frankie couldn't compete.
Yeah,
so like very, very hard.
Yeah, it would have to. A lot of stars would have to align for that to happen. So I mean, with the two HOHs, it's tough to have in their hands, but this one, voting against the majority, it's something they could have controlled easily.
Okay, so going to Thursday's episode, Caleb still thinks that Amber isn't actually the target, and then when Amber talks to Frankie about it, Frankie sort of pushes the decision onto Caleb, which upsets Amber. So Amber goes and confronts Caleb about it. Caleb says that he's getting suspicious of her working with the girls, and then Amber tells him that she feels like she's been slapped in the face. And then, of course, Caleb, being so love-struck, starts to regret his decision, apologizes to Amber, and but then lets it slip that the whole alliance was on board with getting her out.
Yeah, I mean, Amber, when she said that she'd have no problem putting Caleb up, she didn't technically say, like, oh, he's my target. Like, indirectly. She never said those words exactly, but, like, indirectly she's like, oh, he's ruining my game, which is true. And also that she wouldn't have a problem putting him up. So I feel like without Caleb there, a lot of the season would have played out pretty differently. I mean, well, she still thought she was in the bomb squad, but I also think that a lot of more girls would have been staying around because the past 2 weeks, it's been 4 girls on the block every time. So
how many has it been all girls voted out so far?
Except Devin.
Devin, sure. Wow, how can I forget?
But even on the Zach was on the block too, and so is Donnie. But
okay, so Amber ends up being evicted unanimously. I was actually surprised by that, and when Caleb cast his vote, I did a little fist pump on my couch because that takes away 9 points from Mitchell's team.
that was the nail in the coffin. If Caleb wasn't going to vote for Amber, then nobody would. But I mean, even those sympathy votes, I feel like it just throws off a unanimous eviction, which is always nice. Like with Paula, like her 2 friends didn't vote her out, even though they knew she was gonna go home. So that's nice to see. Yeah,
and then she didn't end up blowing up anyone's game on the way out. Like we said, we don't really know because everyone already knows about the bomb squad. So what she would have blown up, we don't really know. But still, a classy move from Amber in her exit. So the final scene is the HOH competition. they were previously in the week, they were shown clips of events that happened in the house so far. You have to memorize them, and then the HOH competition is to answer questions about those clips that they watched. If you get one wrong, you're out, and if you get it right, you stay in, obviously. So they go on for a while. I think they got to 12 questions.
Yeah.
And there are still 5 people left. Like, I've never seen
something go. And they ran out of questions. They're like, oh, that's it for the live show.
Yeah.
And there was still like 8 minutes left, and they still had 5 people on the block. So, but then they had like 5 minutes of commercials, and they came back. I was pretty pissed. I wanted to see
Me too.
what was going to go on.
So you end up having 3 people left in the competition. I have 2.
Yeah, it was Zach, Donnie, Nicole, Hayden, and Caleb left.
Yes. And we also find out that it's a double eviction next week. So
should be an exciting Thursday.
Okay. Surprises. My surprises of the week actually was Hayden and Victoria forming that mini alliance, I guess. I really like the move, as we talked about earlier. Bring someone else on board for a vote for the weirdos. Another one was Caleb turning on Amber. I know he was talking about it, but Caleb's talked a lot about being done with Amber before and never actually acted on it, so I was surprised that he did end up voting her out. And then I was also surprised at how good these people were at answering those questions in the HOH competition. Like I said, I've never seen one go 12 rounds and still have 5 people left.
Yeah, it wasn't just like, oh, what was the color of the shirt they're wearing? It was like, what's the color of the dot in the corner of the picture? And those are like the small details that you wouldn't think you'd pay attention to. So, and they all got them right. Like when it said warning instead of beware and stuff like that. Like you wouldn't think to pay attention to those sort of things.
Who are your surprises this week?
I had Hayden down as a surprise. Again, with that move with Victoria, it was really solid on his part. So that's a solid 4 he has now. Between us, I guess 4 votes between him, Nicole, Christine, and now Victoria. And that was it for me. I mean, I liked Cody's move with Derek, making the hitmen. And I know we've sort of seen Frankie distance himself from Zach too, so that was good to see from Frankie.
Disappointments. My first one, my biggest one, is that they didn't finish the HOH challenge. But that being said, I'm glad they didn't just go to a massive tiebreak, because I really don't like the tiebreak system there, because like they have to write down the number, and if they go over, they're out. But Julie gives them like 15 seconds to think of it, and it's such an important like challenge that I don't know. I just don't like the tiebreak.
But do you think they're going to do more questions about the videos? Or do you think they're just going to go straight to the tiebreak?
No, I think they will add a few more questions.
I hope
they
so.
just
to narrow it down.
They've got to just figure out more.
So.
And my other disappointment was that it was another unanimous vote. Good for my team, but bad for entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole debate about like respecting good gameplay versus like entertaining television, and obviously Frankie and Derek are playing really good games, but the rest of the house needs to step it up in terms of creating some drama in there. It's getting pretty stale. It's like the same as last season where every vote was a unanimous vote. So with that said, my disappointments for the week were Amber and Caleb for being so blind about the bomb squad. But I mean, I guess it's also good for the original guys for trying to keep them in the loop as if this was still going on. And my other disappointment was Zach for just being really obnoxious this week and just being a camera whore, I think. I mean, I still like the guy. I still find him entertaining, but it's almost in a love-to-hate kind of way now.
I just love his gator chomps in the eviction.
Yeah, go Gators.
Okay, point recap.
So
take us through.
I think this is actually the first time at the end of a week that you've been up on me. You're up 49-42.
Yes.
The Amber unanimous vote didn't actually hurt me too bad because we were tied at 49 going into Thursday's episode. So Amber's -9. Caleb, I gave him -1 because he said he was a have-not for 2 weeks in a row. And then I also got +3 from Jacosta getting off the block. So in the end, it was just a -7. And with HOHs, I hold 3 of the 5 left in the competition. So, I mean, odds are I'm getting at least 10 points from that, hopefully 20. So we'll see how that goes. So with that said, what are your predictions for next week?
Okay, my HOH prediction. One of them is Donnie because he's the wise oracle. He knows all.
Did you coin that yourself?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I did.
Yeah,
I'd like to
so
think
too.
that I did.
I haven't heard it anywhere else.
Okay, and then my other prediction is actually Zach. He says that he's so much smarter than everyone else and he's going to dominate this competition. I love the confidence. I'm rolling with Zach. How about you?
I hope. I mean, just for entertainment's sake, I hope it's like Zach and Nicole. So it's like, two opposing HOHs who like really don't like each other. And also Nicole and Hayden would be cool to see. I don't know who's gonna win, but if Zach wins, he'll put up Nicole and Christine again. I think. If Donnie wins, he'll probably put up like Victoria and maybe Hayden or Nicole. And if Nicole or Hayden wins, they'll nominate the same people. I think probably Victoria and Jacosta. Actually, no. Hayden wouldn't nominate Victoria, but Jacosta I feel like would just go up on the block again, obviously. And then if Caleb, maybe Nicole nominate Donnie. Remember last time how it's like,
right.
Yeah. And if Caleb wins, he'll probably put up Victoria and Jacosta. So again, depends on the combinations here of what's going on. But Victoria is pretty much a guarantee to somehow be put on the block, probably with Jacosta again. And yeah, I mean, between Victoria, Jacosta, like Amber, Brittany, and Donnie, and Nicole, every week it's been the same, interchangeable between the fourth nomination. So, but my prediction is that by the end of Thursday's double eviction is that they'll go back to having one HOH.
No way, I've got that down too.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I just don't think they're going to be able to fit everything in. Like to have everything that they usually have in a double eviction plus a battle of the block, and they're usually already pressed for time. I think it'll. So do you think?
Actually, I completely forgot about the battle of the block, but I think by.
So wait, do you think by the end of Thursday or like after?
I think by the end of Thursday's episode.
Okay.
So it's like they'll almost have to start it off with a vote right away.
Yeah, I think it'll end after the first eviction.
That makes sense. What if they did it just for like 1 week and they brought it back? I mean, the numbers are like dwindling down too.
Yeah,
after like
it'll be done at 9 after the double eviction.
So that's like half the house. That there's like a 1 HOH, the 2 on the block, and then the 2 safe on the battle of the block, plus the veto winner. So that's 6 people right there. That could potentially be safe or / not voting.
Yeah.
So
my eviction prediction. First one, I think. Okay, so the nominations I find are just completely irrelevant. Like the actual target for the week is never going to be put on the block originally because it doesn't make sense. You don't want to give your target 2 chances at pulling themselves down. So these nominations going to the battle of the block, I feel, don't really mean anything.
That's why the veto's been used every week.
Yeah. I think Caleb is going to be the target unless he wins. But obviously they're not going to put him up because he's a beast. He's Beast Mode Cowboy. So he's going to win.
That's the stupidest thing. I can't call him.
He's also Stealth Mode Cowboy and Hopeless Romantic Cowboy. He's got some names. But Beast Mode Cowboy is his big one. So he's my first prediction. And then, since it's a double eviction and it's chaotic, this is bold, but I think Hayden is actually going to go. I think they're going to have a chance to take him out, and he's not in their alliance, and he's a physical competitor. So, with no time to like strategize or anything, they can just quickly evict him.
I think it's weird because I think, just thinking about it now, everyone sort of goes into each week at least thinking in their head, like, what if this is a double eviction? And then just going through that scenario of who to put up and stuff. But, I mean, that's a bold prediction. I'm just thinking, so it's Jacosta, Victoria, Nicole, and Christine are the only women left in the house now. So, I mean...
Say that again?
Victoria, Jacosta, Nicole, Christine.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I said last week that Victoria and Jacosta are going to make it the jury. I still think they will. And so we'll see. I mean, double evictions usually end up being obviously chaotic, and they usually ends up being a big name going home during it.
For sure.
So
I remember Judd last year. That was devastating. I love that guy.
Didn't he come back though?
He did. Still though, the original in that awesome shirt he had.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all the time we have today at the B2M2 podcast. Hopefully next week is a thrilling double eviction week. We will talk to you next week. I'm Michael Hoad. He's Mitchell Machtinger. Thanks for listening, guys.